YouTube is so boring. YouTube is so boring lately. Credible woo-woo content. Produced by some hipster media outlet, no less. Or even worse, cheap ready-made woo-woo content produced by state-sponsored hipster media outlets. Looking at you there, CBC.
Oh, Isa.
Oh, hi.
We have a treat for you. It's pure, uncut, undiluted woo, fresh off the boat.
Yeah, right.
Not gonna lie, pretty top class. Get yours now.
Not gonna bite.
Are you sure?
And that's why when you go to Africa and you see the herds of zebra, they keep you far away from them. You see them off in the distance, because they're probably painted poorly like this one.
Zebras are painted? I'll take it.
Today's Thursday, November 5th, 2020, and today I'm just going to explain as simply as I can why people make up animals. And it's nothing new. Way back in the day, if you've ever looked at really old maps that have oceans on it, you'll usually see a few scary ocean monsters drawn on the map. And people have been telling tall tales of fake animals probably since the beginning.
Very true. Our ancestors were very creative at making up creatures. And they were also very, very bad at accurately portraying the ones they didn't make up. A few years ago, during a trip through northern Italy, Logic and I went to visit Bressanone, a small city in the north of Italy, where you can find a medieval depiction of an elephant on one of the outer walls. There was an actual elephant passing through the city at some point, and that was a very, very big event, which is why many hotels took over the name elephant. However, given that there were no photo cameras, the artist who had to depict the elephant years later was rather creative in his interpretation of the animal's anatomy. Now, if now we were to assume that sailors kept on talking about these giant monsters that they may or may not have seen for 5 seconds, while the boat was shoved around back and forth by the heavy waves, and they nearly capsized and they nearly drowned and they totally survived anyway, then it's pretty much guaranteed that whoever artist has to draw it will end up with a very mythical, nonsensical image of a creature. At best.
People still come up with them. I guess chupacabra is pretty recent invention, and it's just nothing new. Chupacabra, got the jackalope.
And Sasquatch, and Reptoids, and Nessie, and E.T.
Every area has their own hoax animals. Drop Bear's a double hoax because it's a hoax built on a hoax.
Wait, what?
Koalas are not real animals. They're just little plushies that people used to build a taxidermy bear and stick it up in a tree.
Interesting hypothesis. It does, however, have a few flaws that you might want to look into a bit. For example, in order to make koalas out of taxidermied bears, you would first need to have a bear, preferably in the shape and size of a koala, to be taxidermied in the first place. So, what kind of species would that non-koala bear doppelganger actually be? What bear body part would they use to turn into their marsupials? And more importantly, why would people stuff taxidermied bears onto their trees?
And they tell people that it's an animal.
With all due respect, even if we were to grant you that the koala was a repurposed bear, which I refuse to do because it's a marsupial that has a button nose and opposable thumbs, that bear would still have to be an animal. I mean, let's take hypotheticals here. Let's take Wolpetringers, Sasquatches, Nessie, and humans, you name it. They all, even if fake, would still be animals. And before you chastise me, audience, no, humans are not real. Professor Dr. PhD Claudia Albers has already established that we are all angel cyborgs.
The AI entity that emerged decided that lying was the best way to obtain what it wanted, which was to gain control of more spirit beings. They were therefore deceived into merging with it, which caused them to also lose their free will. Human beings are these angels.
And the runaway dating sims waifu has also proven that we are all galactic simulations decaying into the ultimate divine chaos.
We're going to look at 5 glitches in reality and then show how they prove that you are eternal.
Anyway, let's continue.
And nowadays it's just a little bit more advanced. They have CGI and animatronics. There's Wolpertinger. It's just nothing new. The platypus, people knew that the platypus was a hoax when they first came out with it. The platypus is so weird that scientists, even the scientists, thought the first specimen was a hoax. And they were right.
Well, they were certainly right not to just take a claim at face value and investigate it properly before accepting it, but they were not quite that right about it being a hoax. And at this point, I would like to put a little parenthesis here, because here is where my own bias kicks in, and I find it fair to explain to you my bias beforehand, so that you then can take that into consideration and make up your own mind. I want to be upfront about it. When people believe or disbelieve something, I care far more about why they believe it than I care about what they believe. For example, a person who, to the best of his ability, tries to test or research something and then comes to the wrong conclusion, to me is quite a commendable person, even though the result is wrong. And is far more commendable than a person who believes something that is actually correct, but believes it because his mother told him so, or some other stupid reason. So in this context, if you think about it, a platypus is not necessarily something that you can easily find in a zoo, or a koala for that matter. Nor does everyone have the money to just fly to their natural habitat to check out whether or not they're actually there, if he even manages to catch them there. So it is not all that easy to find out by actually seeing the animal. One has to rely on books, on the internet, on hearsay, and so on. And that brings another slew of issues with it. If you were to, for example, take pictures, pictures can be faked. You can't just take them at face value. And that is as true for the platypus, if you've never seen a platypus in your life, as it is for the UFOs. And the internet, unfortunately, is just not reliable either. I mean, web pages are just as likely to tell you that the moon landing did happen as they are to tell you that it didn't happen. And even if you had the foresight beforehand to know which internet outlets are mostly reliable, you could still not 100% trust them. Because there is not one outlet who doesn't make mistakes. You still end up often finding out that their information was butchered one way or the other. So if Wormie here would have looked at the platypus, read about it, see evidence about it, and then concluded, you know, I can't trust this, my Loch Ness meter goes off on this, I can't possibly tell whether or not that thing is real or not, then hey, I would respect that. I would respect his decision. So let us give a head for a moment and see what the reasoning is behind his fake platypus claim.
You have big squirrels, you have small squirrels that fill different areas of things that squirrels do. But I think at the end of the day, they're all squirrels. And so when Noah had to bring squirrels on board the ark, I don't think he had to bring 5,000 different squirrels on board the ark. I think he probably just brought, maybe 2 different types of squirrel-like creatures. I don't know. But that's a big thing about their fake animals. They want you to think that Noah's Ark is an impossibility because how could Noah have fit all the different species on there? Well, it's because there's a lot of fake species out there. And a lot of them are the same species, just slightly different.
Aha! So due to you, they are fake because they don't fit on Noah's Ark. It is odd that you say that they are fake and that they were made up because they could have never fit on Noah's Ark, when there are other people who try to use the platypus to prove that the Noah's Ark is real.
Now the thing I want to show you next is which, in my opinion, is God's favorite animal to make fun of the evolutionists. Do you know which one it is? That's right, the platypus duckbill.
Please don't say it's a beaver crossed with a duck.
Ah, the good old days. I miss you, Pennant. Come back. Anyway, to get back to my point, Wormie, your reasoning is exactly not what I would accept. You don't really care about the platypus's actual existence. You care far more about the number of creatures you have to fit on a boat. In other words, I cannot accept that platypus exists because mommy told me there was a dude who put one of a kind on a ship and sailed off with them. You are denying something that you consider a dogma in order to prove your own dogma. It is kind of hypocritical of you, if you think about it.
But there's this whole concept of a big lie. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it.
Alright. Alright. 2 plus 2 is 6. 2 plus 2 is 6. 2 plus 2 is 6. 2 and 2 is 6. 2 plus 2 is 6. Do you believe it yet? 2 plus 2 is 6. How about now? 2 plus 2 is 6. And now? Let's be frank here. There are ways to persuade, manipulate, and brainwash people, for sure. Some people even convince themselves of things that aren't true. It reminds me a lot of this weird philosophical idea. What was it called? Postmodernism. It's the idea that you can't know truth, you can only know your interpretation of the truth. However, in spite of what several overeducated degree zombie brains can tell you, this concept can only go so far. No matter how much you believe that you can fly, you won't just lift off by flapping your arms. And no matter how much you believe that you can live off of air alone, you will either end up eating at some point, or you will starve yourself into your grave.
And so just like the platypus, the scientists at the time, they knew it was a hoax, but they just kept telling the lie over and over and over again, and it's just been adopted, and people just assume it's true.
Kind of like you assume the virgin birth and Noah's Ark?
No, platypus are not real. That's one of the biggest animals that they use to try to push evolution. When you start to get the hang of what the fake animals are the ones that you don't just see running around outside like squirrels and cats and dogs.
Alright, so due to you, fake animals cannot be seen outside. But what if you're an Australian and you actually see koalas outside? And what if you live in Australia and have never seen a wolf before? Does that make the wolves fake? I mean, I have never seen a wolf before, only coyotes. Maybe wolves are just fake coyotes. You know, stuff the coyote and put them on a tree or something. Or maybe Australia is fake, and therefore there are no Australians who can see koalas. No, seriously, I don't think that your hypothesis is quite waterproof yet. I also find it funny that you mentioned dogs, since among all the animals that exist, those are the ones that humans have messed with the most. Many of these breeds wouldn't even exist if not for human meddling, and nor could they survive in their current state without the hand of humans. They would just vanish from one day to another. In other words, dog variations would be a far more compelling argument for Noah's Ark than koalas would be. Still not accurate or even remotely realistic, of course, but definitely more compelling.
The fake animals are the special ones that you need to see on the TV or at the zoo, and we're going to get into one that you see at the zoo in particular in a second. But anyways, you get the feel for what the big animals are, the big fake animals, and they're the media favorites too. The media loves the fake animals more than anything.
Okay, so am I getting this right? Your way to establish which animal is real and which is fake is to see which animal the media shows a lot? I'm sorry to break it to you, but for all the nature documentaries that there are, the most common animal shown on TV is the dog. Now that I say it, Lassie. Have you ever seen Lassie? He used to be black and white, and then he suddenly changed to color, like a chameleon. Dogs cannot do that. They cannot change like that. There is no such thing as a color-changing dog. Lassie is fake. I was lied to.
The media loves the fake animals more than anything. That's why the WWF isn't just like a squirrel or a dog or something. It's a panda.
That is one hypothesis. But another would be that people just really like pandas, and therefore the WWF uses pandas. And to be honest with you, among all the animals that this organization could have picked among the endangered species, using the panda as a logo, in my opinion, was a very, very stupid decision. You see, elephants get hunted for their tusks, snow leopards get poached, the South Chinese tiger is nearly extinct because people are killing it and using it as a glorified homeopathic remedy, but the panda is endangered primarily for one main reason. It is a picky eater. It just doesn't drive the whole stop extincting animals message home as much as many other animals could do.
And that's why Australia is all about the koala. I mean, they're all about the kangaroo too, but kangaroos are real.
Wait, what? Kangaroos are way more fake than koalas. Look at them. They're like glorified furry mini T-Rex replicas. Why are they real and the koala not? Why are they not fake? Unfair.
So you really see the koala pushed a lot more than you see the kangaroo pushed. And if you can think back to the wildfires, they were constantly having stories about koalas in the wildfire, but I think I saw one story about kangaroos in the wildfires, and kangaroos are actually real.
Don't you think that perhaps the reason could be that they show koalas more in the wildfire because the koalas are not anatomically built to escape fires all that easily? I mean, they climb around in their trees all slow, all lazy, all chilled, while those little pep, skippy, hoppy kangaroos are far, far more efficient at running away from fire.
And they just make all these stories about their stuffed animals. People would go out into the woods, wherever they keep these plushies up in the trees, and they would save the plushies, and then they love to make their viral video with all the plushies in their car. Oh, look at these things that I saved. And yeah, there was some bad footage out of that.
Wait, now I get it. So, koalas are slow. So slow, in fact, that you think that they are fake bears on trees. And because the fakers can't get their fake bears out of the trees on time, before the fire comes along, they instead make documentaries about how the poor stuffed fake koalas are endangered by the wildfires. But the kangaroo runs off, so it can't be fake. So therefore it has to be real. There is logic to your madness after all. Still, I kinda wanted to hear why zebras are fake and we're still stuck on the koalas. But I need a break. And I want some food. And I want some cookies. But before we go, let me quickly bring something to your attention. YouTube's algorithm primarily supports established media, and it tries to disincentivize independent creators, especially when they are smaller. If you like what I do and want to support me, the best way to do so is by sharing this video. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to my supporters from SUBCRIBESTAR, Patreon, and especially PayPal. You are the best.
You and Logic are not atheists.
Yeah, no, we don't belong to anyone.
You show who you worship on your video/background. You know there is a creator, and you prove that by who you choose for your totem pole.
Beautiful. Best totem pole ever.
Did she say Weinstein instead of Epstein, or is the accent just throwing me off?
Dafka, I'm afraid that you were a victim of the Mandela effect.
I totally said Weinstein and didn't know this.